position. Play into the box as well. And a hot landing. Warlight's going to go down. Fnatic are moving in for the kill here. There's a lot of damage coming in. Cyanide simply repels away.
Crumb's going in.
There's the fish coming out. Overpower's going to try and escape him, but, well, you can't escape the fish.
Destiny called in. Here comes Overpower. Comes straight in. Wildcard's flung out there. It's a 4-for-0 to Rocket.
Oh no, the kick! He's kicked him away from his... That was quite the move from SK, you have to have...
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the European League of Legends Championship Series, broadcasting to you live from Cologne, Germany. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and I'm joined by Trevor Quickshot Henry once again as we continue onto our third day of our opening Super Week for the summer split. And what a week it has been so far with some very big surprises.
Yeah, one of the things that I really love about the European LCS is that it's entirely unpredictable. You know, the first 2 days of the Super Week have been fantastic, and I expect to see even more excitement today with 5 games.
Absolutely. Before we check out the news from yesterday's matches, we have a very exciting announcement to make. On Saturday, June 21st, the European LCS is heading to London's SSE Arena in Wembley, of course, and we will hit the road as we leave our studio here in Cologne and head to the iconic venue where we will be broadcasting Week 5 of the LCS Summer Split live for 2 days.
Yeah, the roar of the crowd at the All-Star Paris 2014 event was mirrored by the crowd today with this announcement. They seem quite excited. And I can't wait for the fans to bring the same electricity to the UK. Come along and cheer for your favorite European LCS teams and players as they battle to stay atop the table. Tickets will be available for the London show soon, so keep checking lolesports.com for more details.
Going to be getting a lot of requests for those, I'm pretty sure. That's for now, though, let's talk about yesterday's game, starting with the fact that the European LCS continues the trend of teams being able to beat everyone. The Super Hot crew took down Alliance, and Gambit beat SK Gaming, and shockingly, Fnatic are 0-2. Do you think the teams in Europe are evenly matched?
So it's quite interesting because I think the skill gap is closer after watching games than I'd originally anticipated coming into the split. But one thing to note is no team can finish the Super Week with a perfect 4-0 record. And I believe it's the first time in European LCS history where a team has not had a perfect Super Week. It is very early on in the split. I think teams will be looking to adapt, looking to practice in better ways during the course of the season. And whichever team can actually learn as the weeks go on will be in better shape by the time playoffs roll around.
As we get into the last day of games, let's talk a little bit about the most popular and successful picks from the first 2 days.
Yeah, it's something I love doing, especially on a new patch and keeping trends in Super Week. AD carry-wise, Lucian is still all the way up there. 11 picks in 11 games, 7 wins, 4 losses. Nobody's surprised by that. Graves has been the sleeper surprise AD carry. He's been picked up by a number of European teams. In the jungle, Lee Sin, Blind Monk, still ever popular. Again, 11 games, 11 picks. Nowhere near as successful, though. Only 3 wins to his name.
Yeah, Thresh also in there as well, of course. 5 wins, 2 losses, 7 picks, up alongside Lucian. Always a great partnership.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple of different supports.
Yeah.
If we go to the top lane, Shyvana is sort of back in the mix. We didn't see a lot of her towards the end of the spring split, but she's risen back up to prominence. 5 wins, 1 loss in the 6 games. But also, don't forget, Irelia's been there as well. I think she's seen her 5 times as well. So a little bit more diversity going back to champions we've seen at the beginning of the year, but not in the last 2 or 3 months. Wrapping it up is the jungle, undefeated Evelynn. You can't see her coming. She's 6-0. Definitely a champion we need to keep our eyes on. And we'll see if a team manages to pick up these stealth champions. It gives you a very big bonus. The one that's not on the cards that we do need to remind everybody about is Twitch. He is just the go-to AD carry. Tabzz said yesterday he is the most powerful AD carry in that role. So we'll see if anyone can get their hands on him as well.
I think it was 82% ban rate so far, so definitely up there alongside Kassadin from last year, or last spring, I should say. Yeah. Now, though, let's take a look back at the top 2 LCS big plays that had you guys tweeting up a storm. First up, it was the huge ace from the Copenhagen Wolves that led to their victory over Millennium. This came in from @NoMovingCoffins. He said, our Airwax awesome flank as Eve to get them an ace was just perfect. Loving Wolves, new members. This was your second most talked about play.
Coming up from the backside and actually gets a great ultimate off there. Kurt will throw his back up though. Gonna get locked up. Finished off in the end by Unlimited. Petersen as well. Focused down on the backside. Woolite a little bit out of position. But the rest of his team coming around. And the Copenhagen Wolves gonna wipe the floor with Millennium. Take the A's and they're gonna get an easy Baron.
Absolutely fantastic team fight. Their coordination and their targeting was just so precise. Didn't lose a single member. Well, that does take us to our next one. It also features the Wolves. This time, they were the ones receiving a beating, courtesy of SK's Jezzes. Now, this one comes to us from @DaleLee19. Oh, Jesus, Jezzes! Rocking the Mecha Angel had been a holy performance by SK, and Wolves just met Doomsday. This was your most talked about moment in the European LCS.
They've got 3 members though, and Svenskar, he's going to try and get away, but he's going to get locked up. Teleport comes in, Freddy's going to join in, Counter-Strike is running, catches on towards Kautar, invulnerability being used on him as well. Kautar goes down, Youngman's going to focus down, Freddy manages to get the kill on towards him. Jez has also picked himself another, Unlimited has to flash away. Everybody from the Copenhagen Wolves is running scared right now. The Dark Binding catches, and Woolite gets dropped down by Candy Panda. Jez is going deep on this one, he gets himself another kill, and that...
Dark Binding after Dark Binding. Jez is in everybody's face. And when we listened to sounds of the game yesterday, communication was just crisp and clear, and there was no panic at all.
Yeah, SK showing exactly why they are one of the top teams right now in Europe.
Yeah, you guys at home, remember to share your favorite moments from the games with us by tweeting to @LOL Esports and using the hashtag LCSBigPlays.
So let's take a look at where the teams currently stand at the start of the day. It is a 4-way tie for first place. Of course, that is Alliance, Millennium, SK Gaming, and Super Hot Crew all tied at 2 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah, in 5th position, Gambit are at 1-1. With Nick in the mid lane. Tied for 6th is the Copenhagen Wolves and Roccat at 1-2. And at the bottom of the table at 0-2 is Fnatic, and that is not something I was expecting to say on the 3rd day of the Summer Split.
Absolutely not. Here are the matches that will give that table a final shake-up though this week. We'll kick things off with Gambit taking on Alliance, followed by Fnatic versus the Copenhagen Wolves.
After that, Millennium and Gambit will face off, followed by Roccat versus Fnatic. And our final game of this opening Super Week will be the Super Hot Crew versus SK Gaming.
And if you need more information about the schedule, the teams, the players, head over to lolesports.com where you can find all of that and much more.
Yeah, while you're there, you can vote on today's matchups. Just give a thumbs up to the teams you think will win on the schedule, and we'll check in before each game to see how you voted. That's also where you can pick up seats for the matches here in Cologne as well. Just visit the tickets link at the top of the page for all of the information and come watch the teams compete live right along with us.
And get your 140 characters ready, ladies and gentlemen, because we want to know what you can tell us over on Twitter. Which European LCS player will be your MVP for Super Week and why? And it's honestly a question we have to ask ourselves each week as well.
It is a question we have to ask ourselves. There is added pressure this week because my MVP is going to be the person that gets me the most fantasy points. I have to take down Joe Miller. Anyways, we want your answers, so send them to us at LOL Esports along with that hashtag LCS, and Sharks will read our favorite responses later in the show.
So now it is time for our first match of the day, featuring a battle between Gambit Gaming and Alliance. The head-to-head between these teams is 3-1 in favor of Alliance, so Gambit have a lot of ground to make up during the summer split. As a team, Gambit have already demonstrated 2 drastically different levels of performance. Against Roccat on Tuesday, they got absolutely destroyed and never once looked like they could ever challenge the Polish powerhouse. But yesterday, they bounced back and picked apart SK Gaming, of all people, in an absolutely one-sided game of their own.
So it was very apparent that in that very first game of Super Week, Gambit just didn't show up. They didn't show up individually, nor as a team, and all of Gambit had problems against Roccat. But yesterday against SK Gaming, they really, really delivered. From the opening minutes, Gambit just found impressive kills and great movements in response to SK's positional play. Take a look at the difference in stats. 1-14-1 against Roccat, 15-12-34 against SK Gaming. Just double the number of assists for kills. It's a much better team performance. I think today, Gambit's going to look to get a point back against Alliance. It's a team that they've only beaten once this year. I'm looking at Nick once more as a player to carry Gambit. When he played Kale yesterday, he had a much better performance. He ended 5-3-4. A few minor mistakes in the mid to late game, but generally much more impactful, much more positive than his Nidalee from day one.
Well, Alliance, on the other hand, play their last game of Super Week after beating the Wolves but losing to the Super Hot Crew. Yesterday's loss to the Super Hot Crew came at the hands of inferior team fights. Multiple times throughout the game, Alliance just got outclassed by the Super Hot Crew, but against Fnatic, they grabbed control of the game by denying creep score against Soaz's Jax and picked them apart as the game progressed.
Yeah, so Alliance seemed very aware of why they lost the team fights against the Super Hot Crew, and in the post-game interview with Tabzz at the end of the day, he actually said that as a team, they just stepped away from the loss, stepped away from the games, cleared their heads, and came into the match versus Fnatic with a clear and precise goal. And my word, did they execute that. When Soaz locked in Jax, Alliance had a fantastic early game. They denied CS, they rotated well, they prevented him getting on the board for an extremely long period of time, and then just transitioned to grab absolute control of the game, thanks in massive part to Nyph on Thresh and Tabzz on Kog'Maw. They decimated Fnatic, won every single team fight, and they just found great picks, one after the other after the other. I don't think Nyph missed an important death sentence that entire game.
Well, while Alliance is not entirely sure what to expect from the Russians and their new mid laner, Diamond is hoping that he and Nick can replicate the synergy between Shook and Froggen when they face them off against them.
I definitely think we have a higher chance of winning against Gambit than if they had Alex.
Everyone's thinking Alex is Gambit pretty much, but how much is Alex even Gambit? No one really knows. He might not be that much of an influence in the game itself, it might be the other players, I don't know, because I don't understand Russian and I've never been in the TeamSpeak.
Nick is a good player. He's like number 4 or 5 on the ladder right now with more than 1,000 points. So like he's obviously really good.
I think we are good, like Diamond is first real good jungler that I have played with, so it's really great to have such a good teammate.
The best player of Alliance is definitely Froggen, but Shook helped him really a lot and they have a good synergy, so it's going to be interesting for me and Nick to play against them.
They also have the surprise factor with having a new player. Like, we have no clue how he will interact with the team, we have no clue what kind of play style he wants around the team and stuff like that.
I don't know what I can say, we'll just play and win.
So clearly a lot of respect between Froggen and Nick in the mid lane. They're not too sure how they're going to go with this one, though.
Yeah, I actually think Froggen was skirting around a little bit. He's got 1,000 points. He's probably good. Wicked's like, oh, I don't know. We don't know the team speak. So a little bit of uncertainty on the Alliance bench. We'll see if it manifests in game.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. Let's check out those starting lineups, though. Over on the blue side, it is Gambit Gaming. That means it is Darien in the top lane, Diamond in the jungle, Nick in the mid lane, Genja as AD carry, and Eddie on support.
And of course, on the red side, it is Alliance with Wicked in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Froggen in the mid lane, Tabzz playing AD carry, and Nyph playing the support role.
So let's take a look at the numbers from lolesports.com where you voted on today's games. According to the site, you went with Alliance by 62%. And that's an interesting one after yesterday's 91% vote.
Yes, it is. I mean, that was a 91% vote that got turned against them. So, you know, shocking. But I think considering there are still some uncertainties, Alliance have looked much better over the course of their games. You know, they've played to a higher level, I think, than Gambit. But Gambit have got a great game and a terrible game. So it's very difficult to predict.
Which Gambit is going to turn up today? That's the
exactly.
question. And of course, the problem was, even in that great game, they started off fantastic and you thought, yes, this is the Gambit of old. It's back again. And then they almost stumbled and lost that game to SK Gaming.
Yeah, a few poor time team fights towards the mid-game.
So here we go, picks and bans getting underway. Gambit has the blue team Alliance, as the red team, so Gambit will have the first pick. So far, I believe it's 7-5, is it? 7-4 for a red side at the moment?
Yes, red side actually has more wins on the week, but only marginally. It was balanced out. We had mostly red side wins day 1, mostly blue side wins day 2. We'll see how that trend plays out here today. No surprise at all. Because of how well Nyph played yesterday on Thresh,
yeah, absolutely.
Gambit do not want to first pick it, and this is also the second time Gambit have banned Thresh on the blue side. So it's interesting that Eduard is either not practicing it, or as a team, they've decided it's not first pick worthy.
Well, I can tell you, Eddie is going for Gragas here, absolutely. I mean, he's played the last 2 games. They played 2 games today. Thresh and Leon are already banned out, so 2 support bans targeted towards Nyph, who's got a slight grin on his face. He's like, yeah, that's a respect ban, I think, going towards him. Kayle and Kassadin, of course, being taken away. Nick did have a great KO game yesterday. Kassadin overall has been one of those top champions. Aurelia taken away from Wicked in that top lane, and the final ban was Ilyas from the jungle.
So Lee Sin is up and available. Shook has played that yesterday. insta-lock on the Jax basically for Gambit. It's been up, it's been available, but the important one for me is Twitch.
Yes.
Twitch has been next to permanent banned this entire week. Yesterday, Tabzz himself said he feels it is the single strongest AD carry in the game on this patch, which is 4.7, and that's it, locked away. So Shook, comfort pick, Tabzz, confident on his AD carry choice.
You say comfort bit, but Evelynn was available. Shook is a big Evelynn play. We saw earlier on, he's got 6 wins, 0 losses so far in the summer. So interesting, he went straight towards Lee Sin, maybe to take it away from Diamond.
It's also because he's had very good performances this weekend. You know, we've seen 2 separate highlight reels of Shook and Lee Sin kicking a target and Nyph predicting where it was going to go. This instantly tells you there is natural synergy on that champion, because as a team, they obviously scrim with Lee Sin often. So Alliance will know and understand Shook's movements and positions.
Some good champions being picked up by both these teams so far. It does mean Gragas was picked up. That will be Eduard on support once again, 3rd time this week on that champion. And of course it means Yasuo has been picked up once again in the mid lane for Nick now.
So another champion we've seen from Nick's champion pool. He's played Nidalee, he's played Kayle, now he's playing Yasuo. First time we're going to see him on the Assassin. I think there is very, very scary possibilities. If Gragas can knock people away with explosive cast and then they can get caught by the last breath, it should allow Gambit to solo out the targets they want to focus down with the Jax leap strike and then Yasuo dashing over to him with his E. The only scary thing is, if Gambit don't get items and fall behind, it's going to be quite difficult for them to maintain control, because Twitch can snipe somebody down from stealth. Shyvana is going to be split pushing, should have an advantage early against Jax if they go 1v1, but obviously will be outscaled by Jax, who just becomes a monster in the very late game.
Well, Morgana's risen to popularity from the end of the spring. Now we're seeing Lucian and Evelynn has been locked in for Diamond. So 100% win rate so far for Evelynn. Does that bode well for Gambit? We'll find out.
The one thing I am a little nervous about on the side of Gambit is they don't really have a front line here. They've got very, very strong split pushing power. You can have Jax in one lane, you can have Yasuo in the other, and you can force Alliance to come to you and roam around. But they don't have your traditional tank. They don't have a traditional team fight comp. If Gambit do not target the correct champions when fights break out, the disruption from Lulu, Morgana, Shyvana, and Lee Sin is going to be enough to deal with Gambit. So the pressure is going to be for Gambit finding the right guy, locking him up with CC, and then killing him. If they don't do that, the tankiness from Shyvana, Lee, Lulu, Wild Growth, etc. should be enough of a frontline and disruption to deal with those assassins. But there's a ticking time bomb. Yasuo is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Jax is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So Alliance, I think they need to take advantage of their probably mid-game power spike and getting Gambit's face.
Well, this is the 3rd game running. We've seen Froggen on Lulu as well. Of course, up against Yasuo yesterday for Selfie. It was a fantastic game. Selfie ran on that one. And we've seen some very good Yasuos, Kautar as well.
Yes.
See how Nick does it.
It's going to be interesting. I actually think Froggen has tunneled on the Lulu very, very heavily. He's had some very good ultimates and some good play. We'll see if he can counter Nick here today.
Well, with the players having picked their champions, which lineup do you think has the advantage? Tweet #Gambit or #AllWin to @LOL Esports and let us know. We'll check the results in the game.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look. I think from a compositional standpoint, I like the aggressive factor of Gambits, because they do have, a flanking jungler in Evelynn. She doesn't really want to be right up on the front line. Gragas is just going to disrupt everybody. And then you're going to have Jax and Yasuo diving in. So Genja's going to be chilling with no one. His whole team is going to be throwing themselves at their enemy. So if Gambit do not pick accurate, well-timed fights, I do think they can be in trouble. So we'll see how they pick their battles.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of the day about to get underway. We've had 2 days of exciting, jam-packed action so far in this summer split Super Week. Let's see how this one plays out. Gambit starting out as the blue team, up against Alliance as the red team, with 2 members, formerly, of course, from Counter Logic Gaming EU. This is an age-old battle between some very historic players. But Gambit, as you mentioned, with the aggressive champions, this is maybe casting back to the old Moscow 5 of old with that aggression.
I'm secretly hoping so. The fact that Gambit have got these brawly type of champions with the Jax, with the Yasuo, who really want to get in your faces, it opens them up to that style of play. But as we've talked about, Jax needs time to ramp up. He needs to get his Blade of the Rune King, or he needs to get his Trinity Force completed before he becomes really scary. Yasuo has to get a static shiv and a damage item we've been seeing Blade of the Ruined Kings being quite popular this week. And until he gets that, we're not totally terrified of those Yasuos. So the early game, the laning and the laning phase in the mid game, I feel Alliance has more tools that they can take advantage to get a lead.
And it's interesting you talk about that, how he needs those items, because if you cast your mind back to Katowice when we saw the Chinese Yasuos in that mid lane, they didn't need those items. They just went straight in there from level 1. Darien's about to find Wickd. Wickd's just stepping around there. They just caught a quick glimpse of one another and maybe just going to go with a dance. You guys at home watching right now, you can see 64% of you fancy this one. Oh, it's moving. Gambit fans, get in on that Twitter. Remember, hashtag Gambit win or hashtag Alliance win at LOL Esports. And that vote will continue throughout the game. So, at the moment, we are having a lane switch potentially here, as Tabzz and Nyph, they will get spotted by that ward of Darien.
Tabzz and Nyph are pulling the Gambit classic. If you go back to Spring Split, Gambit would always throw their AD carry and support to invade their opponent's blue buff. It cost Eduard or Genja his life several times over the course of the split. So it's interesting to see Alliance adapting. And as you talked about, they have gone for the lane swap. Darien's in a little bit of trouble.
This is the mistake that Youngbuck made yesterday. The exact same mistake. Push the wave up. And that's just going to get frozen, surely, by Tabzz and Nyph.
Alliance did this yesterday. They punished Fnatic for doing the exact same thing. And now they're going to punish down further. He's got no flash. He's in trouble.
He's got nowhere to run. Flash already burned. He's going to get caught out. There's the kick. Teleport coming through. That binding lands just at the right time from Nyph. And it's a simple first blood for Shook.
Game 1 of the summer split from Gambit. Genja face-checked the River Bush, gave up first blood in a decision that you go, what was he thinking? What was he planning to accomplish? You look at Jackson as top lane, he was trying to push the wave, had no information, there was no wards, no vision to give Gambit decisions to make, and Darien just gives up a free kill in the opening 3 minutes.
I simply can't find words to describe why he pushed there, because they walked straight past that ward that he placed in that top bush.
It also clearly shows they weren't watching the Fnatic game yesterday. It was the exact mistake that happened, that Alliance was able to punish Soaz for. You know, it's the exact same thing, pushing the wave, denying the CS, and it was a Jax as well. You know, Alliance demonstrated they can control waves, regardless. Wickd and Shook, they're looking for Darien and Nick. Darien's in trouble.
Oh, he's in trouble again. He's got no escape this time around. He's going to not land the counter-strike, but he is going to be able to leap towards his own trinket ward, finally escaping. And Gambit, they're already in problems. This is, cast your mind back to game 1, where they lost so heavily. It was all about those early deaths, and even I've been speaking to Edward, it's like, last game, nobody died before the minions spawned. It was a good game. But this time around, it's happened again.
If we're casting our minds back, we've got a very aggressive Gambit team. Champions, they want to get in your face. See hero, kill hero. That's their game plan. The old school Gambit was Darien feed to win. There was a time where Darien would go 0-5 and Gambit would win those games. Maybe they're trying to employ that same strategy. It's too early to tell right now. But as it stands, Alliance with an early advantage. I like the fact that Wickd and Shook were roaming. They also did this yesterday against the Copenhagen Wolves, moved around the map, and they didn't lose much CS. They're considering a dive. He doesn't have a ward, and he doesn't have flash. Darien's going to die again.
He's in trouble. Darien, you've got nothing to get out of this one. You're going to have to run. He's going to be jumping towards Tabzz. You can see Nyph in there. The minion wave coming in. Here comes Shook. Here comes Wickd. They're going to go on towards him. Which way is he going to go? They're going to give him a free pass.
So the minion wave blocked the Dark Binding, and because there was no CC to land on Darien, it wasn't worth the risk. There's not a lot of levels or HP. So unfortunately, Alliance kind of whiffed that dive, but they pulled a lot of members of Gambit towards them. Teleport's been used now by Wickd to get to the bottom lane to defend. And as it stands, Alliance with the shenanigans, but they've earned themselves a minor lead in the opening 5 minutes.
Only a very minor one. We're back in towards this mid lane where actually Nick is ahead in CS right now on Froggen. Froggen on this Lulu for the 3rd game running. Maybe it's his new favourite champion, who knows, or simply he sees something in it. A lot of people did back in the spring on this hill. The champion's been used for a long time, but against this win wall, I mean, bearing in mind, of course, Yasuo is one of Froggen's favourite champions, so I suspect maybe he wanted to let it through to play himself.
Yeah, it's definitely a consideration. It's also something, Froggen has run this Lulu regardless of other options that have been available, so he's definitely tunneling. It is a pick that has great versatility. Takes you a little bit longer to hit that damage spike because you need the likes of your Deathcap Athenes and then Lichbane before you can really start bursting people. But you have a good mixture of damage, of CC and utility. And when you consider the rest of the team all has multiple things that they can do as well, it's a very smart pick. It allows Froggen to do multiple things. He can save a teammate, he can set up kills, he can get kills, etc. So Smart play and something Alliance have been demonstrating with all their picks and bans.
Also needs some calm carry game. Well, I suppose technically
less so.
good. Yeah,
I would say less so. I agree with
you.
you.
Would have with a Kale, maybe.
Correct, and I completely agree with you. And it's something that, again, has also showed. But good poke early on. Nick, at the lower levels with Yasuo, does have the option to bully a Lulu. And at the moment, you're just seeing Nick, he's actually defending, or he's denying CS with that wind wall. We've seen it used 3 times while we were spectating that lane.
Well, speaking of CS denial, it was, of course, Alliance that did that against Fnatic in last game of the day. They didn't quite manage to get it this time around, though. You can see that Darien has picked up a fair chunk of CS of his own. Had to go back once again, though, so he's back to base in a matter of minutes, just 7 minutes into this game. Windwall working very well for him. Eddie is going to clear out that pink ward that was placed by Shook just a few moments ago.
We'll see how the lanes settle, because we've still got this 2v1. Neither Gambit nor Alliance have made a big effort at pushing the towers down. We are on 4.7, so there's that 30 damage reduction on all outer towers, including the bottom lane. And it's actually nice to see that it has slowed down the laning phase to a little more of a 2v1 style of gameplay. Tabzz is finally putting a lot of auto attacks down, but I don't think he'll get it this wave. May need 1 or 2 more before he can shut it out. Darien is taking so much damage, so much poke over and over.
Good counter strike though, managed to block a lot of the basic attacks coming out of Tabzz, but as you mentioned, the fact that they are about to hit level 6, both in the top lane and the tower almost done. We'll see where Shook and maybe even Diamond starts to pay attention, because we haven't seen a great deal of Diamond just yet.
We haven't, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but when you're jungling against, when you have an enemy Evelynn in the jungle, you go for 2v1.
Oh.
Shook's bitten off way more than he wanted to. I had no idea Diamond was there, but look at the invade. Previous blue buff, Tabzz and Nyph at the time are on it. Now, Alliance have got a 4-man stack thanks to their 2v1. They're not committing fully, because look at this. This has turned into a 4v4 very, very quickly. Nyph's on the wrong side of the wall.
Yeah, he may have to flash out of this one. He's going to see if he can pull any more aggro. It looks like he may be bait, actually. No, he will flash out. Didn't want any of that one. Simply got sidestepped by a single barrel. Could have taken that damage.
So that was a level 4 Morgana. Had no soul shackles. And Shook again, biting off more than he can chew. He keeps trying to, you know, play cheeky around that blue buff and going aggressive on Eduard. And both times backed off on damage. So got to be a little careful. His positional play hasn't cost him anything yet. But Alliance tried to make a play, tried to go for the blue buff. It didn't work out.
Just going to miss the shot on towards Wickd there in that bottom lane. So Wickd going back towards that Sunfire Cape start this time around up against Genja, of course. It is fairly even between the 2 AD carries at the moment. As you can see, there's a 10 CS
they want to dive Wickd.
Genja because, of course, Tabzz was around. I think it's actually going to be a blue steal rather than a dive on him. It may transition to a dive afterwards.
It depends if Wickd sticks around. Small play by Gambit.
Oh, he's actually going below them. That's even worse, Wickd. Don't do that.
Look at the play by Gambit now. They were pushed around by their blue buff. They made a call, a very educated call, that the blue buff was available for stealing, and just waltzed in and grabbed it, completely uncontested. Shook was at the double golems. There was no support from Wickd. And that all stems from the fact that Alliance committed resources to stealing a blue buff as opposed to just defending their own and securing it. So, small win for Gambit.
And still that top turret yet to go down, despite the fact Tabzz had it so low early on. They backed away just before they could finish that objective off, going towards that blue buff. The timing not quite right. They will take it this time around, so this will be the first turret of the game going to Alliance.
So, Alliance again, first blood, first tower. They have roamed around the map more than Gambit have. Now that's interesting. Tabzz actually using his ult just to clear the wave out quicker and hard push it down. Maybe looking to prevent Darien from freezing that lane up. If he can get his minions to the tower and allow it to reset, it may punish Darien a little more. We'll see how these next few minutes of farming work out, because Darien is even with Wickd. So he's doing what he needs to stay relevant with his opposite number.
Yeah, and he's going to get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. So Wicked's going to have his work cut out if they don't start shutting that Jax down. 4 members, stacking up in this mid lane. It is going to be Alliance. They found themselves a little free time. Teleport comes in. This is Darien actually coming in there. He does manage to land. Counter-strike, no. Has to back away from it. Takes a big burst of damage. Diamond trying to come in around the side there, but doesn't fancy starting on 4 members like that.
Now, one thing I want to highlight as we're seeing these teams start to group and stack up. Yesterday, I was quite critical of the Copenhagen... No, it wasn't the Wolves. There was a Yasuo game yesterday where there were not many knockups along with the rest of the team. And yes, you can do a lot by yourself, but Nick is going to be relying on Eduard ultimates for his primary source of knockups along with his own Q. So it's just there's less tools available for him to create those perfect, ideal, multi-man last breaths. And if Nick doesn't hit multiple members of Alliance in a team fight, once he dives in there, he's in the middle of them, he has, or he will be at the risk of just being instantly shut down and instantly killed.
And we should just point out, to avoid confusion, it's displacement rather than a knockup itself.
Yeah, correct.
Displacement, so it can be a sidewards push and it will be enough for a Yasuo to pounce on, which is of course how that barrel would work out. So, Nick is throwing out that whirlwind, not going to allow the Froggen, not going to go too aggressive just yet. Level behind actually at the moment, but that will even itself out with this minion wave. And let's have a look around the map. So, AD carries, fairly even, still just that 10 CS difference between the two. Still no Blade of the Rune King completed by Tabzz, while Genja going towards, of course, that Bloodthirster. Standard builds for the two.
The interesting thing to note is neither support have access to their ultimates yet. We're 12 minutes in, we haven't had completely standard 2v1 because there's been a lot of rotating, there's been a lot of movement back and forth and around the map, and it's resulted in losing XP. Gambit, they made the first objective steal by taking Alliance blue buff a few minutes ago, and they've got Dragon uncontested. Alliance, they had vision, they had full vision of that, and just simply were not in the same place. So Gambit have got a superior map strategy to Alliance, because every time Gambit has moved, Gambit has secured the buff that they've been looking for, or the objective they've
So the teleport is down at the moment. He's had to go back to base. I wonder if this is going to be a hard push straight towards his top lane. It seems like it. Froggen and Shook coming around as well. Nyph and Tabzz are already there. They're putting a lot of pressure on towards his turret. Darien's going to try and come in. Actually gets kicked back in there. He's going to get stun locked up there. That's going to be enough to take him down. And that's the second kill of the game for Alliance. The rest of Gambit come around. That ultimate's not going to be enough to land in there.
So Alliance have lost their tower in the bottom lane. They've got themselves a kill, but they invested so many ultimates in just killing Darien. I don't know if they can continue the siege up. So they traded a kill for a tower. It's actually going to be net gain for Gambit, as it's going to unlock that bottom area of the map. Genja can either continue to focus Wickd or run away. He's been jumped on.
Oh, Wickid's going to flash through. He fancies this one. He may well just be able to take it. You can see that Bilgewater Cutlass taken, but it's not enough to slow Genja down. Had to use the flash, heal, and dash to get away from that one. So Wickd bullied him out of the lane for now.
Yeah, I don't really know why Genja was picking that fight. There was very little chance he was going to win with only a BF Sword and Vamp Scepter. But Summoner spell's blown. No flash, no heal. He did get the same flash out of Wickd. Gambit are going to secure their own blue buff. So as it stands, very, very even Stevens in this early game. CS numbers are not anything really to write home about at this stage in the game. And we need to see how Gambit play this one out. Do they want to go for split push? I think that should be the goal. I think Gambit should put themselves in a position where they can have Jax trying to side push a lane and pull aggression towards him, because Jax should be able to 1v1 anybody. Now Nyph gets jumped on. That was anticlimactic.
Wondering whether Tabzz fancies it in the top lane. Is he feeling confident enough? Well, he puts a couple of shots down with simple ambush, but with that Blade of the Rune King, he didn't decide to stealth in and completely go all in. Instead, he's just going to clear out this wave. Big wave there, so no surprise that he didn't go for that one.
I really like the synergy of a Lulu Twitch when you're trying to set up those kills. Twitch can come in, stealth up, get the shield from Lulu, and allow a Glitter Lance to land much more easily and much more safely. Once the slow is down, the Rat-a-tat-tat and the Blade of the Rune King slow just allows Twitch to decimate HP bars. We'll see if Tabzz plays that style of game. It is a lot more of the sort of Korean assassin style of Twitch AD carry, and you can also go and try to just focus on teamfight ultimates where you land those multi-man rat-a-tat-tats.
Yeah, we saw Sneaky doing it to great success, of course, over in the All-Star, up against OMG of all people. Managed to decimate them in the group stage, only to be countered as they moved into the semi-finals. Nick getting caught out with the Dark Binding from Nyph and a quick pull there. Froggen fancied it, actually goes aggressive. You can see the stealth rat trying to get in there. That's going to be a good cull-in. Will do a fair chunk of damage on Nyph. That was the ultimate used by Tabzz as well, but he was not in range.
No, couldn't actually connect. That was a very good Glitter Lance from Froggen. They fancy it.
He's going this time. Wild Growth bounces Nick in the air. They want to get the finish. This time around, he's going to go aggressive. They do manage to catch on towards him. Darien just about leaps out of that stun. Shook goes very deep on that one. Too deep, in fact. Now Darien's going to get taken down. Eddie's taken low. Diamond's trying to catch on towards him. It's a double so far for Froggen. And that one counter kill from Genja on Shook.
Yeah, 1 for 2 at the end of the trade, and that was a very quick reaction from Shook. He jumps into the fight, managed to kick Darien backwards. I also want to note that was a good combination between Eduard and Nick for the last breath, but it didn't result in anybody dying. There wasn't enough damage, as we've talked about constantly. So Alliance, they get themselves some kills, they invest a lot into it, and now Froggen's been jumped on.
Froggen's going to get pounced on. Has he got enough to try and get away from this one? He's burning down. That red buff will not be enough, and he will back away just in time.
Yeah, the key to note is that Alliance keep investing all of their ultimates and all of their abilities to get these kills, but it's not getting them objectives yet. I do think their team will do slightly better in 5v5s in, you know, the 15 to maybe 30-minute mark, but once we start getting later than that, it's going to be very scary once Yasuo and Jax get rolling. So there's going to be a lot of importance on Alliance to make sure Jax and Yasuo are away from Froggen and Tabzz. If they go down, yes, Wickd and Lee can do some damage, but they cannot afford losing either Lulu or Twitch the later this game goes.
But with that 3 kills now stacked upon Froggen, you can see just how much ability power is already stacking out. That other thing's been picked up, needlessly large rod. He's wiping out that minion wave in what I think freaking Irene referred to as the most satisfying gold collection ever, as it just trundles across all those minions with that glitter lance. Nevertheless, it's working well for Alliance so far. They have the kill lead, they have the gold lead, and technically, they do not have the objective lead though, because they are down a dragon, which will be up in a minute's time. And Gambit, are they in a position to fight for it this time around? No teleport for Darien in the top lane.
Yeah, Alliance had no position or timing on the previous dragon, so it was, I would go as far as to say it was snuck away from them. They simply weren't in position to contest, even though they had vision, and then they opted not to. So now we do see Genja. He may get towered. Froggen's done it once, he's doing it again.
He's going to put some early aggression down, takes a few too many tower hits. Now Diamond's coming down the river. Eddie's making his way down the side as well. Are they going to go in for this one? Shook is, of course, standing by with Froggen. Safeguards in there. Does show himself actually on that middle wall.
This is actually a scary position to be in for Alliance because they're split. Yes, Gambit doesn't have their AD carry with him in the mid lane, but if Gambit start going for Dragon, they're slightly tight in that the 4v3 balls in the mid lane will work in favor of Gambit. Now Froggen is about to find himself between a rock and a very, very Russian team.
Yeah, 3-2 split, has to use the wild growth to go through. Can he get to his team in time? Wickd pounces through, but we do see Froggen going down. Darien may well pay the price. He's going to get dropped. Now Wickd's going to be the focus target. Nick pounces on towards him and does the damage. Tabzz trying to do the rat-a-tat-tat damage from the side, but it's just not enough. And simply put, Froggen got caught out.
Yeah, he was. He face-checked, got caught, instantly shut down. Nick held on to his last breath for a very long time, and he only caught Wickd with that. That could have been more detrimental for Alliance, but as we've talked about, because of the front line of that Shyvana and Lee, it took a while. Take a look at how Wickd just keeps everyone sort of clumped together, and the last breath is just about to come in, only catching Wickd, unfortunately, and that just means that Gambit don't have as much damage to close out. Had Tabzz been the earlier one, had they got Tabzz and Froggen, it would have been even better for them.
But again, it doesn't gain an objective for either team. Gambit didn't go for the dragon, but it sets them up nicely to try and get in there. It evens out the gold as well to just 400 between the two teams. Barrel being rolled out from Eduard on this Gragas. He's the only one so far in Europe that is championing this hero as a support. We did see it, I believe it was, in the Lone Star Clash by, I think it was Bubadub that played it over there. So North America have shown signs of it. Of course, their LCS will be starting tomorrow night. And of course, everybody's tuning in that.
He got it.
A steal from Diamond on the blue wall. Simple smite steal. I mean, smite's not going to be available for this dragon, though.
It's not, but they know that Wicked's not there. I mean, top lane Wickd, no teleport available, so another easy dragon for Gambit. They're going back to spring split ways. They're going back to old school Gambit ways of completely controlling dragon. The problem is, they've lost their mid turret, and now Alliance just needs to back up. They can't afford getting locked up or knocked up by this Yasuo.
Oh, there is an Alliance team moving across. They want their blue buff of their own. The rest of Gambit are coming in full force. 5 members of them piling in, and this has been stolen away by Shook this time. But they're going in for the engagement. Nyph actually with the ultimate. Is it going to catch enough there? Wild growth being used on him. It does stun up Gambit, but Alliance are stuck in a horrible corner position here. They are going to back around. Diamond's looking to flank though.
Yeah, he's used his ultimate already, so if Diamond were to go back in, he would be in trouble. Wicked's forced to defend the bottom lane, and Gambit have had very good team fights already in the Dragon and now in this top lane. And because they pushed Alliance away, Gambit are going to grab themselves this mid-alpha turret. Nobody from Alliance can defend, and Gambit are going to grab themselves their second turret of the game. and they haven't even lost anything for it. They traded blue buffs. Both junglers, Smite stole that blue buff away. Gambit are going to carry on the pressure. Alliance need to respond, or they're going to lose HP on the inner turrets.
Everybody's back, everybody's bought, and they do manage to get themselves back in position to defend the inner turret. Gambit happy with what they've just got. Dragon and a tower overall, as well as pushing them away, counter-trading blue buffs. So nothing too big between the teams. That Dragon, of course, does even out the gold and bring it in favor of Gambit now.
And I still like Gambit's chances. Oh, Shook's in trouble. He does manage to safeguard to safety, but the rest of Alliance are still sticking around. Now that Wickd has pushed out that bottom lane to the outer turret of Gambit, it looks like Alliance have done the tango and the dance, and they've caught Gambit on the off foot, off balance, and they're going to secure tower uncontested. It's a really interesting turn of events because neither team has responded to their opponent's aggression evenly. They've been able to take advantage of it and grab their own tower in reply, but they haven't really been able to hold them off or prevent them grabbing that objective anyway.
Yeah, this time around there is no counter for Gambit. They have no objective to gain because all of the waves are pushed in Alliance's favor. So Gambit, simply put, have to clear out their own jungle, their own lane phase. You can see there's a big stack in that top, but nobody really going there. You can see Wicked's going to happily go and collect all that gold.
Wickd has been the designated side lane farmer for Alliance. He's got 162 CS to 114 of Darien. Darien's been a lot more involved moving around the team with his map, moving around the map with his team, rather. But it is because he's one of the primary front lines.
Well, and yet, this is a complete contrast to what they did against Fnatic. Of course, they put Tabzz up against Soaz's Janks yesterday. This time around, they've taken on the advice maybe of their analysts, whoever is feeding them the information, and Wickd is going up against Darien this time around. Although, in terms of items, it is much even.
Yeah, he's grabbed himself that Blade of the Rune King as the first pick and now working towards tank. First item was Chain Vest, finished Blade, now working towards, as we've highlighted, most likely a Randuin's is what I'm expecting, but we'll see what he upgrades it to. I do want to touch that Nick, as well as Froggen, have got their key
Diamond.
item thresholds. Deathcap and Athene's, and now Diamond, he's going to get slowed. Oh, good flash.
Good flash away, but he's going to get caught out by Shook. He's going to follow on through, and he's just running headlong into a rat-a-tat-tat rat, and he will take him down, no problem.
Yeah, definitely going, oh, drat, I shouldn't have been there.
He didn't use
It's not over yet. Nyph and the rest of the team now with the numbers advantage. The smite is not down. If they are going to do, it looks like a Baron bait. I thought they were going to try rush Baron. They do have a lot of damage. 2 Blades of the Rune King. There's a lot of auto attacks that can come out from Shyvana and from Twitch.
Oh, look at that. I don't think that pink ward can spot
No, it can't.
It's just blocked off line of sight, just slightly off.
That is so huge.
We saw the same thing yesterday, of course. It was the ward tucked in the corner by the Super Hot Crew up against Rockhat. But this time, well, Gambit are not falling for it.
Not this time round. We may see a poke from Gragas. If he throws his Q into the bushes and 4.7,
oh no.
The barrel roll at the end will give Vision Alliance. They want Darien and he's trying to get away.
He pounced. We do see Wickd pouncing afterwards. Wild Growth will bounce Darien up in the air. He's got no escape. He's got flash available. Can he try and get away from this one? Teleports up as well, but he's not going to be able to use that. That's Darien going down, but look at the mid lane. Look at the mid lane. Gambit saying, fine, you can take our top laner. He's basically a proxy farm death machine, and they will take themselves another inner turret.
Again, Gambit will be happy with their trade. They've lost Darien for his 5th death of the game, but they are equating it to map presence and map pressure. No mid lane turrets available for Alliance. Every time Darien gets jumped on or focused, and Alliance commit everything they have for a kill, Gambit just secure a tower. I think it's smart play, but it is also risky, because if Alliance stay grouped up as a tighter unit, they can push those lanes and towers slightly quicker. If a base race had broken out in that scenario, Alliance would have been in a better position because they were at a tower instantly. Gambit had to clear a lot of ground to get to the first tower that they can knock out.
Nobody can resist the swag of Darien, which is why Alliance are being drawn towards it. Gambit using it in their favor right now. Wickd clearing out yet another gigantic wave of minions as CS will be blowing through the roof, and that's going to be a big problem because he's almost 100 CS ahead of Darien now. It's up to 81 plus, and the counting. Gambit have managed to gain objectives, but across the rest of the lanes, it is fairly even. Diamond has himself a pretty good advantage over Shook, though.
Yeah, it's a very important thing to highlight is the fact that Wickd does have that very big CS, because champion versus champion, Shyvana is slowly going to become weaker than that Jax. So as long as he's got a very big gold and item lead, he's going to stay more relevant for a longer period of time. And Diamond's just been 1v1 by Wickd.
Wow, look at the damage he's putting down on Diamond there. Diamond having to take some serious beating there, shredded half his hit points just simply using the burnout. Didn't go with his ulti or anything else in there. Did use that play to the Rune King. Dragon is up, but again, it's another turret picked up for free by Gambit. And Alliance's positioning is a little off here. The teleport from Darien comes in. They're not going to pull the trigger yet, though.
No, so tower was secured. Gambit now with a tower lead. Alliance are grouped up tighter in the mid lane. If they get multi-knocks up, they're in trouble.
Windwall used a little bit early there. Eddie's been caught out of position, has to use that barrel to try and bounce him away. Now Diamond's going to be the focus target. Shook goes in. Wild Growth on Tabzz will bounce him in the air. Tabzz turns back on towards the AD carry of himself. Shook does survive just about with that red buff burning on towards him. Genja managed to escape, but it was a 2 for 0 for Alliance.
That's the problem with Gambit's composition. They need to pick targets effectively. It's not over yet.
Wicked's going in. He's got the help of the rat on towards him. Flashes away from that one. Nick's not able to catch him down. Darien's going to try and jump around. Counter-Strike does manage to catch, but Wicked using that Blade of the Rune King. Actually, I tell a lie. It was the reverse. Darien using the Blade of the Rune King on Wicked to escape, but I'm not sure he can get away from this one. Dark binding on the minion. He thought the minion line had been cleared out. Tabzz is going to find him. Counter-Strike is back available. Just know where you're leaping to.
Gambit can get Dragon now. If Darien pulls him away, Gambit are going to get Dragon. So yes, great. Alliance got a bunch of kills, and they're going to, you know, get a lot of confidence from this. But Gambit get the Dragon. It's another time that Alliance are
chasing kills.
Bloodthirsty. I really think they're playing very bloodthirsty this game. It's good. As long as Alliance can keep winning those team fights, it should, in theory, eventually lead to towers. But for the time being, it's not. And now they're going to gank Nick and Genja.
Nick may well get caught out. It does get slowed. Is it going to be enough? You can see the culling on towards him. Genja manages to dash away. I think they've both escaped this one. I'm not sure if Alliance can gain the ground. Shook will.
Oh, great!
A great wind wall block there. He may get kicked in towards the team, though. Nick, it soaks him sideways. Actually puts him out of the dark binding. And, well, he goes straight in with his ultimate. May as well try and make something out of nothing. And it does mean he put a lot of damage down on that Alliance team, though.
Well, Blade of the Rune King, as well as Static Shiv and a BF Sword, Nick is hitting the scary point. We touched on this about 6 minutes ago, that he had his core items. And Wicked, I don't know if they can chase each other. Oh, it's not over yet. Maybe it is. Right. Item thresholds hit. Nick has a lot of damage, and if he can get multiple members, he can melt Alliance. But we've seen 3 separate fights back to back to back, where he only did it because he was being chased by an overzealous Alliance, not because Nick could set it up in the right terms at the right time. So in order for Gambit to pull themselves back into this game, they can't afford to be split up. They can't afford to be disjointed. And if they want to pick a fight, they have to get Froggen and Tabzz. They have to. Once they get Froggen and Tabzz, they have more than enough damage to finish off Wicked and Shook. But if they don't get Froggen and Tabzz early on in a fight, it's just going to get turned around.
And while it may look great on the board of having 11 kills to 3, you can see looking at the carries, everybody 415, 107 for the AD carry, 008. The fact is, you're letting the Dragons go every single time. Gambit have kept themselves in it, and it's just a 800 gold lead is now stretched to. Darien, once again in the top lane, may get focused by Alliance.
Alliance are down 3 Dragons, they are down a tower. And every time Gambit has made inroads into Alliance's half of the map, it's deeper than Alliance has moved on Gambit's side of the map. Alliance haven't touched an inner turret from Gambit in 15 minutes.
They're on one now.
And we'll see if they can, we can see if they can shut it down. This is just Wicked split pushing, which is great. And the rest of the team is trying to make a play. We touched on how it looked like going to camp Darien. And typical, as I'm talking about, they make a play. But this is the first time as a team they've got into Gambit's territory, and it's resulted from split pushing, not from team efforts. They've been chasing kills as opposed to chasing towers.
And maybe that's what they've suddenly realized. Is like, guys, we're not actually making anything from this one. Pink ward will get cleared out, and that's Alliances. They will not clear out that ward, and actually they're a little out of position now because Gambit have themselves a minion wave and 5 members all pushing straight towards that inhibitor turret. You can see the culling coming out, putting damage on towards Nyph. Alliance is well out of place.
They are, but I think Alliance should be able to defend this. There's not enough minions to really worry about, and the wave clear from the burnout as well as that Glitz Lance is very powerful. Instantly countered.
Wicked cleared that wave, no problem at all. Gambit having to rotate around. Blue buff has spawned though, so that's going to get stolen away.
What was great is Wicked back the moment he got the tower. Now the rest of Alliance are moving down the middle lane, and it looks like Gambit wants to engage, but again, they're split up. Diamond's not with them. Diamond is one of the primary disruptive champions who's got to be in and amongst Alliance for it to work. And we're just back at this map tango, with both teams saying, where are you weak? Alliance are probably going to look to come behind Gambit, and if anyone is slightly out of position, I think Alliance are going to commit.
Darien's off the side. Alliance are just thinking, you know what, you want to fight? Come at us. We're going to keep pushing in that mid lane, clearing out that wave, and they're just having that little tango positioning around the Baron pit area once again. They keep trying to set up for this kill in the bush, and Gambit are not interested in it.
The synergy between Alliance's team comp is why they're feeling so confident. They can do a lot as a 5-man. Eduard is in trouble.
Eddie's going to be the focus, but it's got that belly slam to just dash away. This time Gambit are actually caught in between a minion wave, which they're going to clear out themselves and push in. They have a big wave in that top turret right
and bottom. Oh, Wickd's caught.
Wickd caught out, but I think he's the one that wants to go in. Tabzz is in there. Wild Growth and a gigantic black shield on towards him. But look at this. Darien pounces in towards him. Wickd's going to drop down. Nyph is in all sorts. They're going to manage to get 1 kill apiece. 2 kills now towards Alliance. Shook's going to try and get on towards him. Safeguards on Nyph, keeps him alive. Diamond has to back away. Eddie's going to get caught out. Shook on towards him now. Genja is still safe though off the side. You can see Eddie's going to get pursued. I think he may well go down, but again, Alliance chasing those kills. He gets punted in towards Froggen. That will be the death of Eddie eventually, unless he can sidestep. No, he will go down. Oh, that's going to be
Poison's got him.
Poison's got him.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Poison gets him. Alliance
4 for 1
with a much better team fight. This is what we talked about. Because of the synergy of the champions, the fact that all of Alliance's abilities complement their teammates, it gives Alliance a superior team fight. Wickd just straight up jumped in there. 1v5, he had the black shield, he had the wild throws. Look how this fight starts. The moment they're like, look, we can win this. Wickd dives back in there, instantly gets the wild growth. He's got a very big slow that he's applying to everyone around him thanks to Froggen's ultimate. Unfortunately, Froggen was forced to flash away because he was a little overextended. And because Gambit just don't blow somebody up, they can't win the team fight. They're all damage dealers. They don't really work that great unless they all hit multiple targets. And unfortunately, Nick and Darien just didn't have the burst and the cleanup power to take Alliance down. Alliance now on the Baron. They have a lot of their ultimates available, so Gambit are going to be hard-pressed to defend.
Despite a 4-1, it was definitely a messy fight, that's for sure. Darien looking to maybe try and land one of those big counter-strikes. Instead, he goes in towards Froggen and gets bounced away by the Wild Growth. Nick goes in. Is he going to get enough damage down? Shook was the focus target. The Baron's still putting some of that poison, stacking damage down on towards them. And now they've actually left it open for Gambit, who will willingly go in towards that Baron pit.
They're keeping it low. Now, Baron hasn't had a chance to regen, but Tabzz is on the front line. Eduard is trying to zone. Keep your eyes on the Baron as well as Rat-a-tat-tat. Darien's in trouble now.
Rat-a-tat-tat going down. Diamond's the one that's actually taking the big chunk of it. They've still kept that Baron in target. Now it's going to turn on towards him. It's not low enough for anyone to engage in it. And both these teams are in a dangerous position.
It's very scary indeed. Baron is now regenning. It's back up to full health. This should be the reset factor. This should be the fight being reset. Nick, I don't know why he would go in. He knocked up only Shook and Nyph. I guess it does push Alliance away. It put them in a defensive mindset, and they didn't want to run the risk of losing team members, so they instantly backed away from Baron. But he needs to hit Froggen and Tabzz. Those are the targets. And thanks to all of the drama and all of the fighting, Gambit are back on another dragon.
Genja, who is always outside of the fight, will happily take this dragon away. Safe for now. And that's another dragon going Gambit's way. Every single dragon so far, 4 out of 4 going their way, which is what's keeping their gold up there despite being 15-4 down in kills.
Gambit need to stop playing the map game, I think. You know, Wickd has been doing a great job at pushing the side lanes. He's actually got an uncontested tower in that bottom lane. If Gambit can force Alliance into skirmishes, force them into smaller groups, they can use their very strong champions. Darien's been caught out. We'll see if they can pick up a kill, but it's going to be tough.
No, we'll just leap away to Nick. And he's safe once again. Look at this. Baron set up once again. They're going for it.
Yeah, Darien does have teleport though, so as long as there's a ward in the pit, Darien can join in the fight. He's going to back and heal. The rest of Gambit are moving towards the pit. Again, look for the knockup of the cast from Eduard, as well as the last breath. And here comes Darien! Ooh, that was fast.
A very speedy Darien with home guard boots, but he didn't find his target, didn't get close enough. Pink wards will get cleared out, and the Baron is just chilling, wondering when he will eventually go down.
Ladies and gentlemen, Summer Split Day 3 Game 1. Baron Dance is real.
Again.
Baron Dance is on. I think we have to, somebody has to make a t-shirt. EU LCS, #1 Baron Dance technique. Alliance have been starting it. Alliance have been forcing Gambit to come to them. So in theory, Alliance are in control of the dance somewhat more. They are leading, as it were. The only problem is it hasn't equated to much. They've won one Baron fight. They haven't got the Baron. They've been pushed away from the Baron. And Alliance is still struggling to hold on to control of this game. Teleport's not available for Wickd, but there's a very big minion wave in the bottom lane. So if someone goes to deal with that, the rest of Alliance are going to look to hunt to either get a tower, or maybe they'll probably just go right back to Baron.
Genja's making his way down there. This may well be the time the Alliance have to go for that Baron. He's going to show himself now. Uses the Cull in. They have to start out the Baron up quickly. And they will. Wickid's going in towards it. The rest of Gambit trying to move in behind them. They have to delay them as quick as possible, but Alliance are aware of this one. They will land the Dark Binding on Eduard. He's actually caught out. They do manage to pounce in. Wickd using that Ranius, trying to get the bounce on towards Eduard again. It's the only target. It's a great explosive gas to force them away. And this time Genja has got back in. Eddie does go down, but is it going to be enough? Darien with that counter-strike's not going to stun out anyone because he had the black shield down on towards him. Great ultimate from Nyph, forces him away. Nyph goes in, ultimate flying. Nyph does get taken down. Darien's going to have to run away from this one again. Wickd doing the chasing on the towers. It's only a 2-for-1 again. And Alliance didn't really gain too much from that.
2-for-1, they should be able to secure Baron. They know Teleport is down. Darien was forced to use it to come into the fight. And in terms of how the fight played out, Alliance not afraid. They initiated on Darien, they initiated into the Gambit cluster. Even though the Wild Growth didn't hit multiple members, the zoning it offered was perfect. Now this is towards the end of the fight, where Gambit are in retreat mode. They've lost Eduard already, and Nick unfortunately only catches Nyph and Froggen. Well, I guess that's good. Froggen's the primary target, but he dove back into the Soul Shackle. So the moment he landed from last breath, got stunned up, got focused down. And this is the problem you have with this Assassin and this all-in of Jax. You can just get squashed when you have no defensive items.
So Baron finally taken by Alliance. It took them some doing, that's for sure. 37 minutes gone in this game, 17-5 in Alliance's favor. You'd think they'd have full control over this game, but don't count your chickens before they're hatched, because Gambit are not done yet. They've taken 4 out of 4 dragons so far, with another one available in a couple of minutes' time. They may go for the next one as well. But Alliance, with this Baron buff, have to start taking objectives.
The other thing is, Darien hasn't even hit his final form yet. You know, Darien is still looking to break the 9,000 power level. He's got no Trinity Force. He's got no Randian's Omen. His only completed item is the Blade of the Rune King. So there is still headroom to grow. If Nick grabs himself, I would like to see a defensive item maybe. His ultimate gives him armor penetration, so I'd like to see maybe a Guardian Angel or Banshee, something to give him sustainability in a team fight. Doesn't look like he's going that way. But once Nick does sell Adorns and get some defensive stats, that is also going to be room for growth. So Gambit are not out of it because they're only on the inner turrets. So the map is still very even. The problem is, can Gambit remain even for the next few minutes while Alliance have Baron, and very clearly Alliance are looking to push those towers, to push deeper than the inner turrets.
Oh, Gambit are pushing straight up that mid lane. Alliance are just going to go for it. They cannot face a base race. This is a Baroned up Alliance they're going up against. Teleport from Wickd is going to try and stop all 5 members of Gambit pushing in there. They're all backing off, actually, and that's going to surely give this inhibitor turret to Gambit.
It is. Wickd needs to knock them away. Use the Dragon's Rage. Your team is there. They've lost the tower. Now he's going to go for the fight.
Collects up 4 members. It's a good ultimate coming out there. Wild Growth bounces them in there. Froggen gets quickly shut down, but Gambit are falling like flies as Tabzz comes in, rat-a-tat-tatting his way through and picking up a triple kill. It was an easy cleanup for Alliance.
That was way too easy. That's going to cost Gambit an inhibitor if Alliance continue down this middle lane. Tabzz hit every single member of Gambit with that ultimate. Shook is on the hunt. He's got no flash though. Sonic Wave, not going to work.
Genja again survives. 20 kills on the board for Alliance, and Genja has still yet to die. This is something they absolutely want, but are not going to get. Nevertheless, Alliance will keep pushing through this mid lane, and as you mentioned, they should be able to get this inhibitor.
So Wickd playing it safe and hesitating until he had the exact support of his team was the right call to make. Alliance lose their tower, but they gain 2 and an inhibitor and 3 kills. Tabzz melted Gambit with that ultimate of his. And had Gambit not been so tightly clumped and so tightly grouped, that could have gone somewhat different, because they blew Froggen, blew him up very early on. Take a look at how quickly Froggen dies once he gets hit by this last breath of Nick. Just gets melted instantly. And now Tabzz, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 members of Gambit that's hitting with that rat-a-tat-tat. Pushes Genja away and keeps the fight.
He was actually after Genja as well.
Yeah.
Genja got away again. 1-0-3 Genja. You can do it. Believe, because you are in my fantasy team. 22-6 though, Alliance. They will, or will they, get their first dragon of the game as Gambit come around and try to fight for dragon?
it looks like they've got positioning on it. Got to be very, very scared because the rest of the Alliance are grouping up. If Wickd comes in from the side, they will not hesitate. And Darien eats another binding.
Dark binding caught out. Darien's going to go down once again. That counter-strike not quite enough. The wind wall did a lot of work, but I like to see Wickd once again pounces in there. Nyph focused in. Nick manages to get on towards him, but he goes down to Froggen. It's a double for him. And now Eddie, he's going to try and slam his way away from this one. That's a triple kill for Froggen as he continues to work his way through. And Genja, yet again, desperately trying to escape. No, he's finally got out. Don't die, Genja, you can do it. It is going to be Froggen with a quadra kill, and anyone is going to be happy. I'm not sure if it counts, though. It was a little bit late.
This might be Penta. If Froggen can get in.
It's delayed. It's too delayed. Wickd's going to get it instead. Well, I don't know. Eddie's going to try and escape. It doesn't matter. Look at the base of Gambit. You can see Tabzz making his way through. Froggen's going to get it. Technically a delayed pentakill, but sadly, for you guys at home, it doesn't count for a +10. Nevertheless, Alliance, they're going to take down the base, and they will drop Gambit in game 1 of day 3.
That was a very exciting game. Very dramatic. Shock faces on the side of Gambit, of course.
It was, I would say, somewhat controlled. There was some very, very sloppy team fights in there towards that mid-game. That both Alliance and Gambit could have come out differently, Ian. As you mentioned, there was a couple of times where Nick's ultimate, as we saw yesterday from Kautad, it doesn't land on the right person. And it's tricky when you're basically setting it up yourself. It's quite easy to sidestep because you know that it's going to be coming. The problem is, if they do sidestep it, you land it on maybe the jungler, the support. Do you still pull the trigger? You have to.
You've got no choice. The problem here was that Gambit's composition relied heavily on picking a target and getting them down early. And then once that target was gone, then cleaning up. They had great champions for cleanup, but they had nothing that could just stand there and brawl. By the end of the game, at 41 minutes, Darien did finally get his Trinity Force completed, but unfortunately, he only had a Giant's Belt and a Warden's Belt. He wasn't tanky enough to be in the fight, to be on the front line for that entire time. And you notice that as soon as the Lions got to the mid-game, they basically went, we have the power for team fight, so why are we running scared? Wickd just threw himself in over and over and over, and the rest of the team, they all complimented his engages and cleaned up.
And you guys at home, of course, will have the fancy going. There's some fantastic stats for Alliance in there. 10-2-12 for Froggen at the end there. Yeah. Fantastic performance. 7-0-13 being picked up for Tabzz.
Second game.
Twitch, again, going huge.
Second game in a row that Tabzz has gone unkilled. He went 7-0-2 yesterday, if memory serves. Did even better here today. And that last rat-a-tat-tat on the inhibitor turret, that is an LCS big play. End of story. He hit so many members. And I initially was like, why is Wickd not defending the tower? And I was like, because his whole team is just going to decimate Gambit and basically win the game.
Just waiting to pull them
Great
back.
communication.
Caught them all as well with that, caught 3, I think it was, at the end, with that Dragon Descent.
Dragon's Descent, yeah.
Dragon Descent on towards
Dragon's Descent into Wild Growth. It's just like, it's displacement. You can't mitigate knockups. Completely caught them out.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's head over to the stage. Shox is standing by with Alliance's Nyph.
Thank you very much, D-Man. Indeed, with Nyph, congratulations, another victory for Alliance here. Talk me through that game versus Gambit, because you guys started off so strong, just like yesterday.
Yeah, so first off, we were aiming for a lane swap, and then we had just our default level 1, and then we saw that Jax was still top, so we decided to go top lane, and then luckily he flashed. They didn't even hit his Q, but then he had no flash, and then we could just pick off the first blood. And I think that kind of snowballed us as well.
But still, it didn't go as fast as it did yesterday versus Fnatic. Gambit put up a really good fight. So how did you guys close it out?
We had some problems in the early game with the Dragons. We were not strong enough to teamfight them, and so we had to wait some more minutes till we actually were able to teamfight. And then we just farmed up, and then at one point we were just strong and tried to bait Nesher. And then we just took the game slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a fantastic performance from you and Tabzz. That duo is working out really well. How have you guys been leveling up your performance coming into this season?
Actually, we have played quite some queue in the off-season, but which we normally not do that much, so we only play in scrims together. So I think that helped us to build up the synergy again when we play 2s2.
Yeah, it is most definitely paying off. Congratulations and thank you very much. Now we have to recall the base for just a second, but when we come back, we will see if Fnatic can find their first victory of the summer split when they face the Copenhagen Wolves. We'll be back in 3.5.
I'm fine. I'm very fine. Nemesis.
He's in trouble.
He's got nowhere to run. Flash already burned. He's going to get caught out. There's the kick. Teleport coming through. That lands just at the right time from Nyph. Wickd caught out, but I think he's the one that wants to go in. Tabzz is in there. Wild growth and a gigantic black shield on towards him. But look at this. Darien pounces in towards him. Wickid's going to drop down. Nyph is in all sorts. They don't manage to get 1 kill apiece. 2 kills now towards Alliance. Great ultimate from Nyph. Forces him away. Nyph goes in. Ultimate flying. Nyph just gets taken down. Darien's going to have to run away from this one again. Collects on 4 members. It's a good ultimate coming out there. Wild growth bounces him in there. Froggen gets quickly shut down, but Gambit are falling like flies as Tabzz comes in, rat-a-tat-tatting his way through and picking up a triple kill.